I can't shake it, bro. Key Glock said it once, but the line echoes like a stuck record. Why? Because the night Big Jook hit the pavement outside a Memphis restaurant, whispers say he didn't just bleed. He spoke. A name, an apology, a warning. Nobody will confirm it, but Glock's eyes keep doing the talking. This isn't tabloid gossip. A courtroom witness already swore Big Jook put $100K on young Dolph's head. So if the alleged bagman got bagged, who pulled the strings and what did Glock actually hear? Tonight, we peel back the funeral program, the sealed indictments, and the silence Yo Gotti won't break until the last piece clicks and the city's coldest feud feels hot again. Stay locked in because the quiet parts are finally screaming tonight. 1. The shot after the funeral. 3 minutes after the prayers ended, the bullets started. Big Jook stepped out of Perineon's restaurant in Memphis, still in repast clothes, still surrounded by family, and the street went dead quiet right before it exploded. Witnesses say it was quick, surgical, a van door, a blur of motion, muzzle flashes. His mother was there. People dove behind cars. By the time the smoke thinned, the man who'd spent years cleaning up other people's messes was lying in one of his own. This wasn't random beef bubbling over in daylight. It felt staged, timed, like someone knew exactly when the crowd would thin and when the target would be exposed. The shooters vanished without a footprint. No grand chase, no panicked getaway, just silence and sirens. And here's the detail the headlines skipped. Jook tried to talk. Multiple people online insist he was conscious for a heartbeat. That he said something, maybe a name, maybe "tell my brother I tried." No one on record will lock that down. But the rumor refuses to die. Because if his last breath carried blame, somebody's already shaking. Big G Key hasn't confirmed a thing. He won't. But listen to him speak about it. Flat voice, hollow eyes, that "I can't shake it" mantra. It sounds less like grief and more like replay. Like he's looping one moment in his head because it matters too much to forget. So what made this hit feel inevitable? And why do people keep pointing back to a single number? $100,000. But that price tag didn't come from a blog. It came from a witness, under oath. 2. The whispered last words. Rumor territory. "Tell my brother I tried." That's the line bouncing around comment sections and Memphis barbershops. Not a police report, not a press release. Just the kind of sentence that sticks because it feels like it should be true. Other versions float too. Some say Jook muttered a single name. Others say he apologized. None of it's verified. No EMT has gone on record. No affidavit spells it out. But the internet rarely needs paperwork to believe a good ghost. Here's what is real. People at the scene say Jook was still breathing when he hit the pavement. Not for long, but long enough to make a sound. In a city wired on feud math, hit for hit, disrespect for disrespect, that sliver of time becomes gold. If he used it to point a finger, that's motive fuel. If he used it to ask forgiveness, that's guilt fuel. Either way, it's gasoline on an already burning story. So why does Key Glock keep getting dragged into this rumor blender? Watch his interviews after Dolph died. He's not raging. He's not crying. He's stuck. "I can't shake it. I'm just here. It is what it is." That isn't closure. That's a loop. Fans read that loop like a tell. They see a man replaying one scene over and over, and they wonder what frame he's pausing on. But here's the catch. Glock never says Jook. He never even hints at being near that restaurant. He talks about basketball, banks, sleep, and his mom, as if shrinking his world to the safest corners. That could be trauma.
It could be strategy. Or it could be nothing at all, just a man guarding his peace in a city that weaponizes words. Rumors suggest Jook's final breath carried a message. Reports claim Glock heard it. It's been said that the words changed everything. Emphasis on suggest, claim, been said. Until someone signs a statement or a DA reads it into evidence, it's smoke, not fire. Still, smoke means something burned. And the moment people heard about a last message, they started connecting dots backwards. From Jook's fall, to Dolph's murder, to a six-figure bounty that didn't come from Twitter gossip, but from sworn testimony. If that number is real, and a man risked perjury to say it was, then Jook wasn't just a victim, he was a node in a web. Which begs the next question. Who put $100,000 on young Dolph's head, and who was supposed to collect it?
3. The 100K bombshell in court. Forget Reddit threads. This came from a witness seat under fluorescent lights. During proceedings tied to young Dolph's murder, Cornelius Smith was asked straight up, who greenlit the hit? His answer detonated the room. Big Jook, he said, dropped $100,000 on Dolph's head. Not rumor has it, not somebody told me. Smith spelled out the split, 40 grand for him, 40 for another shooter, the rest to a third man. That's not barbershop math. That's a man gambling with perjury. Now, does a sworn statement equal truth? Not automatically. Defense attorneys live to shred credibility. Deal incentives, fear, confusion, all of it. But 100 stacks isn't pocket change you toss into testimony for fun. When a number that specific hits the transcript, people listen. And suddenly, the narrative shifts. Jook isn't just a target who caught heat at a repass, he's an alleged architect in an earlier assassination. If he paid for Dolph's head, then his own execution looks less like random karma and more like chapter 2 of a carefully balanced equation. This is where the timelines start overlapping like crosshairs. Dolph dies in 2021. The city simmers. CMG stays moving. PRE grieves and grinds. Then in 2024, Jook gets clipped with military neatness minutes after honoring the dead. Add a courtroom claim that he funded Dolph's murder, and fans don't see coincidences, they see receipts. So where does Key Glock slide into this ledger? He's Dolph's protege, cousin by choice, the I can't shake it voice in every interview. People connect the 100K testimony to Glock's haunted cadence and decide they've solved it. Revenge paid in full. That's speculation, but it's sticky speculation, because it feels poetic in the most brutal way. But Glock never points fingers. He never even raises his voice. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti, the man who lost his brother in broad daylight, keeps it eerily quiet too. No pressers, no op-eds, just a prayer hands emoji drifting through Instagram like a candle in a hurricane. Silence becomes its own language. And in Memphis, silence can mean fear or calculus. Next up, Dolph versus Gotti. How a rejected deal and a throne claim turned a business beef into a body count.
4. Glock's grief that sounds like vengeance. I'm maintaining, I'm just here. That's not rage, that's a flatline. Key Glock didn't explode on camera after Dolph died. He hollowed out. No victory laps, no name drops, just a man talking like he's stuck in a room with one memory on repeat. I can't shake it. He says it like a mantra, or maybe a confession he won't fish. Look at how he moves now. Tight circle, low noise. Basketball, bank runs, bed, mom. That's not cloud chasing, that's perimeter control. When the city's watching your every flinch, you don't flinch, you go numb. You pick routines that don't leak information. You stop reminiscing because nostalgia is a trapdoor question. Say one soft thing and suddenly you're slipping. Ask him about memories with Dolph? He shrugs. Every moment was a favorite. Translation: I'm not giving you a single scene to dissect. Ask who he hangs with? My mom. That's either pure healing or tactical loneliness.
People read that emptiness as evidence. They think numb equals calculated, and calculated equals guilty. Maybe, or maybe that's just what it looks like when grief turns into armor, and armor starts feeling permanent. Here's the twist. Glock never even utters Big Jook. He doesn't need to. The internet already did the math. Dolph gets taken out. Rumors say Jook celebrated. Jook gets taken out. Glock sounds haunted. Boom! Revenge story locked. It fits too well, which should make you suspicious. Still, there's a reason fans keep circling back. His vibe isn't closure, it's suspension. Like he's balancing on a detail he refuses to spill. And in a feud where every detail can get you buried, silence isn't just smart, it's survival. But Glock's ice-cold delivery is only half the tale. To understand why this wound bleeds so deep, and why a 100K courtroom bomb matters, you've got to rewind to the origin story. The day young Dolph told Yo Gotti no, and Memphis split into two empires. Because before the funerals, the trials, and the whispered last words, there was a throne claim, a rejection, and 100 bullets in an SUV.
5. Dolph versus Gotti. Independence versus control. It started with a no. In 2014, Yo Gotti's CMG came knocking, contract in hand, numbers loud enough to make most rappers fold. Young Dolph didn't. He'd already poured millions of his own money into Paper Route Empire, brick by brick, no middleman, no leash. To Gotti, that wasn't just disrespect, it was defiance. To Dolph, it was principle, freedom over a fast check. From there, the tension stopped simmering and started boiling. Dolph drops King of Memphis in 2016, a title Yo Gotti had practically tattooed on his chest. That wasn't a coincidence, it was a crown snatch. CMG fires back through Black Youngster. Instagram threats, street searching, cameras rolling. Suddenly, this wasn't industry politics. This was ego with a drumline. Then February 2017, Play With Yo lands like a guided missile. Dolph doesn't deal in subliminals, he deals in receipts. This ain't no diss song, it's facts. He names names without naming names. He peels the veneer off Gotti's empire and laughs while doing it. And Memphis, a city that speaks fluent petty, watched two kings carve lines in concrete. The violence followed like a sequel nobody wanted. More than 100 bullets shredded Dolph's bulletproof SUV in Charlotte. Later that year, shots ring out in LA. He survives both, starts calling himself Bulletproof on wax. That's not a nickname, that's branding survival. While most would lay low, Dolph doubles down, touring, signing artists, reinforcing the independent or die slogan until it feels like prophecy. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti keeps building his own machine. CMG gets bigger, glossier, chart-topping. But the whispers say he's territorial, controlling. Dolph claims he even had his own artists speak Dolph's name for clout. To someone obsessed with authenticity, that's a mortal sin. You don't use a man's name to juice your numbers. You either shake his hand or swing, nothing in between. So, when people tag Big Jook as the quiet muscle behind CMG, the chessboard makes sense. Gotti the CEO, Jook the fixer, Black Youngster the enforcer in public, mystery shooters in the shadows. On the other side, Dolph the self-made general, Key Glock the heir apparent. Two camps, two codes, one city, too small for both. And in Memphis, problems don't evaporate, they escalate. A refused deal becomes a diss becomes a drive-by becomes a funeral. Every move felt preordained, like they were all reading from the same tragic script and nobody bothered to write an ending where both sides walk away. Which is why, when Jook went down, nobody gasped, they nodded. Of course it happened at a funeral repass. Of course it was surgical. Of course the shooters faded. This isn't chaos, it's calculus. But there's another layer. Dolph wasn't reckless, he was intentional. He treated independence like oxygen, and every attack like a proof his model worked. He didn't want to be the face of Paper Route, he wanted to be the architect. Fate shoved him into the spotlight and painted a target on his back. He kept building anyway. All of that, money turned down, bullets caught, empires built, funnels into one question that still splits barbershops in half. Was Big Jook's death just the next domino or a final message? Up next, the man behind the curtain, Big Jook, the alleged enforcer whose name kept surfacing whenever things got ugly. 6. Big Juke, the quiet muscle in the shadows. Say Yo Gotti and people picture plaques and private jets. Say Big Juke and insiders lower their voice. Anthony Juke Mims wasn't on stage, he was off-grid. The guy you called when a loose end needed trimming or a message needed sending, allegedly. No verses, no mixtapes, just presence. In Memphis lore, he wasn't the face of CMG, he was the pressure behind it. Stories about Juke always come secondhand. He's the "they say" in a paragraph, the "word is" in a thread. Court papers name him as the 100K shot caller on Dolph. Street chatter paints him as the one who made things disappear. Even his public moments, like that rumored celebration after Dolph's murder, felt like slips, not strategy. A laugh in the wrong room, a taunt in the wrong city. In Memphis, disrespect compounds like interest. And that's the irony. A man who allegedly specialized in logistics got hit with military precision. The kind of attack that screams insider timing. Funeral schedule known. Exit route clocked. Shooters staged. That's not random heat. That's choreography. Which is why people instantly labeled it a message. If Juke can get touched, anyone can. But peel back the legend, and you see a dude in a brutal position. If the testimony is true, and he really floated that six-figure bounty, then every day after Dolph's death was a coin flip. Payback now or payback later. If it's false, he still wore the target because Memphis believes what Memphis repeats. Either way, he was living under the weight of one story, one that ended in a bakery on Airways Boulevard. Watch how the pieces line up. Dolph denies Gotti. Dolph taunts Gotti. Dolph survives 100 shots. Dolph gets murdered. Rumors say Juke dances. A witness swears Juke funded it. 2 years pass, Juke falls. And somewhere in those 24 months, Key Glock turns inward, grows quieter, harder. Is that survivor's guilt? Is it strategic stillness? Or is it something else entirely? Like holding a secret between your teeth until it cracks. The truth is, Big Juke was never supposed to be famous. He became infamous by association, by being the brother, by being the fixer, by allegedly being the bag man. When he died, it didn't just hurt a family, it destabilized a narrative. Suddenly, the untouchable was touched. The boss's brother was just another headline. And Yo Gotti? Silent. Not even a full post, just an emoji and a fade to black. People read that silence like scripture. Some say it's fear, others say it's chess. Maybe it's both. Grief gets quiet, strategy gets quieter. Either way, nobody in CMG is giving the internet the closure it craves. Meanwhile, PRE isn't crowing either. Glock isn't smirking, he's shrugging. Memphis is counting bodies and shrugging doesn't feel like enough. So Big Juke becomes a symbol of power wielded in the dark and paid for in daylight, of how one whispered order, real or rumored, can boomerang back with deadly accuracy, of how a city's feud can put even the cleaners in the crosshairs. And that takes us to the fallout, because once the alleged enforcer is gone, once the witness has named the number, once the proteges go cold and the CEOs go mute, what's left is atmosphere, fear, calculation, a whole lot of people pretending they don't know what everyone is whispering. Next, silence, fear, and fallout, how the city's biggest voices said almost nothing, and why that quiet might be the loudest clue of all. 7. Silence, fear, and fallout. Yo Gotti loses his brother in broad daylight and gives the world a praying hands emoji. No press run, no sit down, just ghost mode. That's not normal for a mogul who built an empire on visibility. It's either grief so raw it can't speak, or strategy so tight it won't. And in Memphis, both wear the same mask. CMG soldiers kept it brief too. A caption here, a black square there. No one dared spin this into a storyline. Meanwhile, PRE didn't victory lap or throw subs. Key Glock didn't crack, he recoiled. Smaller circle, fewer words. You can feel the city holding its breath, because when two camps with this much history go quiet at the same time, everybody assumes something's loading. Silence isn't absence, it's calculation. Talk invites subpoenas. Tweets become exhibits. Even body language gets screenshot and decoded. So they shrink. They grieve in private, or plot, or both. And fans, shut out of the dialogue, start writing their own script. Gotti scared. Glock got his lick back. Jook said a name. None of the proven, all of it viral. That vacuum, the gap between what happened and what's confirmed, is where legends get born and cases get built. Which is why the next chapter isn't about who fired the shots. It's about the man who saw the ending coming and kept building anyway. Because before Jook fell, before Glock froze, young Dolph was talking like he'd already read his obituary and still chose to hit upload.
8. Dolph, the prophet of his own demise. Young Dolph talked about time like it was currency he couldn't afford to waste. I'll blow some money before I blow my time. That wasn't hustle speak, it was mortality management. He knew the game. Independent kings don't get security details from the label, they get targets on their backs. So he built fast, delegated faster, and treated every artist he signed like insurance on a legacy he might not live to see. He never wanted to be the poster boy. He wanted to be the architect, quiet, calculated, counting units while somebody else rocked the stage. Fate shoved him into the spotlight, and he understood what that meant. Spotlight equals crosshairs. Instead of ducking, he doubled down. Bulletproof trucks. This ain't a diss, it's facts, records. Interviews where he sidestepped beef questions with a chilling calm. Eyes forward, no looking back, no giving energy to threats. Selective blindness as survival code. Listen close, and you hear a man pre-writing his eulogy. We're gonna make 10, 20 youngs bigger than young Dolph. That's not ego, that's succession planning. He wasn't just stacking money, he was seeding a movement. Different sounds, different voices, same independence blueprint. If he disappeared, the doctrine lived. And when he talks legacy, the tone shifts. Less bravado, more awe. You turn something you visualize into a reality. He says it like someone pinching himself, knowing reality can vanish quicker than it arrived. He knows Memphis love can flip to Memphis legend in a single headline. So when the bakery shooting happened, fans didn't just cry, they nodded in horror. He saw it, he said it, he stayed anyway. That choice, stubborn, principled, fatal, became part of why people revere him. He didn't run from the city that birthed him, even if it might bury him. All of this makes January 13th, 2024 feel less like a random date and more like an echo, a chain reaction he predicted but couldn't stop. Dolph's acceptance of risk set the board. Jook's alleged bounty moved a piece. Glock's haunted monotone hints at the aftermath. Gotti's silence sounds like someone staring at the scoreboard, unsure whether to call time or play through. Dolph didn't die for independence, he lived it knowing the cost. That's the eerie part. He engineered a model meant to survive the gunshots, and it did. PRE kept moving, artists kept dropping. The idea, the real product, outlived the man. So where does that leave us? A dead visionary, a dead enforcer, a silent boss, a numb heir, and a city still trading whispers like currency. Now, the question isn't who fired first, it's what those final words, real or rumored, actually changed, and whether anyone will ever say them out loud.
Conclusion: echoes, not answers. So here's what we're left with. A sworn 100K claim in open court, a body on the asphalt outside a repass, a rumor about last words that refuses to die, a mogul who barely whispers, and a protege who sounds like he's living on pause. Did Big Jook confess, accuse, or just gasp? Did Key Glock hear a secret, or is he just drowning in the kind of grief that won't let go? Rumors suggest one thing, paperwork suggests another, and nobody with a subpoena on the horizon is saying a word. Memphis isn't offering clean endings. It's offering atmosphere. Fear thick enough to taste, silence sharp enough to cut. Maybe Glock's numb tone is guilt. Maybe it's trauma. Maybe it's both, or neither. Maybe Yo Gotti's emoji was the only safe sentence left. What's certain is this: Dolph built something meant to outlive him, and it did. Jook's legend as the shadow hand ended in daylight. The scoreboard's still blinking, but the players aren't talking. So the question swings back to you.
If those final seconds held a message, what do you think it was? An apology? A name? A warning? Drop your theory. Just remember to tag it what it is: speculation. Because until someone cracks that silence on record, all we've got are echoes. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and if you're still here, hit the next story, because this feud's footprints stretch way past one sidewalk.